Hello, Barmy Badger Army. This is the second part of our hopefully new series. Don't forget to say Viking, we want more in the comments. And, this is the second part to our Paranormal invesTEAgators episodes. And I've actually got a third one I want to talk about some of my own personal experiences, but so that's going to be interesting. And you can do that too if you would like. Right, okay, so this is when we visited. So after we went to the church the other day, you went to me, look, what do you want to do next? Do you want to go home? What do you want to do?
Or do you want to go somewhere else? And
I
was like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm very much like, I didn't want to offend you. I didn't want to say I would stay out longer. I didn't want to go home. I was like, well, let's strike while the iron's hot and let's go somewhere else. And you decided to go to the world, UK's most haunted town. Let's go from one extreme to the other.
So this town was entered into the Guinness Book of Records for the most haunted town in Britain. That category no longer exists. So that's a shame.
No, because nobody else was able to beat it.
So this particular town has anywhere, I think it's recorded 14 to 16 ghosts that have constantly reappeared throughout time. And it is recorded, each one of these is recorded quite a lot by quite a lot of different people.
Yeah.
It is visited a lot by paranormal investigators and some paranormal investigators.
Mm-hmm. And general lawyer and general mischievous
people.
Does
anyone have a guess on where we went? Where I decided at sort of 5:30 at night when it was dark, and the closer and closer we got to it, the thicker the fog became, and I had to actually stop several times. Oh no! Did everyone see that? It's by giving more people time to think about where we ended up going. But the fog was horrendous, and it was a very, very terrifying drive out in the country lanes, all the way down to the little village of Pluckley. Pluckley in Kent. They're sort of not that far from Ashford.
No.
So we decided to go there.
Not that far from us, really, either.
No, it's about a 40-minute drive from us. So you can actually get to this by train. It does have a train station. Or a train station quite relatively close, and a regular bus service. So, but when you go at night time or in a dark, foggy evening on a Sunday, most of these things are closed.
Not recommended, because that really did add to the scares. Obviously, if you want to go to...
There was no fog when we was at Tong.
No.
Bear in mind, this was within an hour. There was no fog.
No.
So when we got there, it was thick fog. It was dark. It was freezing cold.
Freezing cold, yeah. The temperature had a real low spike.
It was. And so everything was just that bit extra.
Everything was just that bit extra spooky. And we were like, oh, let's walk round here. And then we inadvertently got into the weirdest place possible, didn't we? We ended up in...
I knew the one place I could get to quite easily was St Nicolas's church, which is home to, I think, it's a record of 2 or 3 hauntings and spooky stuffs. So that's where we went, because I was leaning on the gate, which I thought was a gate to someone's house.
Yeah.
Because I thought the fog was that thick, but then you kind of spotted that not that far away from that gate, so we're looking at maybe 3 or 4 feet, was a sign that said welcome to St Nicolas Church.
Yeah, obviously I had my torch, because the fog was that thick that I had to actually turn the... Yeah.
Really.
Well,
it gave you very, very short...
It was working until we got in there, but we're going to go more into that in a minute. I was clicking onto it, and it showed me the sign for the church. And obviously I went, oh, you were like, don't open that. And I opened it and went in.
You went in, and then you said, "This is the church." And I went, "Oh yes, so it is."
Mm.
Walked in, everything's absolutely fine. Yeah, this is great. Little light come on. It had an old-fashioned street light with a little soft glow, which is very nice.
Mm.
I just before we got there, I'd heard a couple
Yes.
sort of chuckling away with a little dog with them.
I saw them really quickly out the corner of my eye.
So you said, but
And I was like,
then they were just, nothing of it.
yeah.
Nothing of it. And then we got into the church and all of that. And we had gone from the gate, past the signs, and you're like there in front of me, you're like, "This is all good, you've got your..." I said, "You're going to get your thing out." So sort of like do so. By this time, I've now downloaded one. I didn't for the first one, so I kind of had my phone out with my torch going. And at the few more steps I took in, I stopped and I just sort of like I just literally as if I'd walked through some sort of invisible shield.
Yeah, you said a bubble the other day as well.
It felt like I'd walked through a bubble where everything became really, really terrifying. And up until that very moment, I've gone through spooky houses before, walked through walked through halfway on the island. If anyone's familiar with that, there's a gigantic graveyard. Now I've walked through that at night. I could go through anything. I'm not particularly scared of anything. But as soon as I walked through that bubble, it felt weird, and we got sort of quite close to the church when I stopped you.
Yeah.
And I sort of like said, I can feel stuff behind me, and as I turned round, I said to you, I grabbed hold of your arm, didn't I? Because I actually was quite scared, and I just said, I'll turn back to you because what I had seen was a man run full force at me from the by the gate. So because in my head I know that's not real, but then I could just literally hear loads of
loads
things.
of people. Yeah,
I could hear footsteps. I could hear rushing footsteps. I could hear rustling, and then I just looked at you and said, "I can't tell the difference between if something is real and something's not." And it was like a full whoosh at me. And I just said, "I need to go back down to the bottom." So you walked with me back down to the light.
That's it.
Again, I crossed back that barrier. So it was in between the sign and the gate. I felt fine.
See, the thing with what you were saying was that you almost felt like there was a gate. Obviously, there's the I'm trying to find the. There's the wooden gate there, isn't there? There's the wooden gate there, and then you felt that there was another almost spiritual gate a bit further in.
That was a few feet in, so roughly by where the sign was. Because then I knew, was like, am I going to be okay for you to go off? And I was like, yeah, I feel fine here. I feel fine. I don't feel scared. I feel fine. And because I then had my little spirity thing out, so the first word that came up was thick, and I just sort of like, yes, it's very thick fog.
Yes.
And then it come up, sort of, brother. I thought, well, I'm in a church, there's bound to be brothers. And then I thought, I feel fine now. I'm going to step forward a little bit. And as I step forward, the word instantly come up. That, I'm going to have to look it up because I can't remember. It was a horrible word. So I'm going to just... My little app is quite clever because I've got biscuit on my thumb and I can't unlock my phone. I can't unlock my phone.
But yeah, so obviously I had gone further in at this point, and I did have my talking app up for a while.
Sorry, my word was fatal.
Fatal, there you go.
Fatal, so I stepped back.
So that's going to put you off, isn't it? I mean, and I had words that were very, like, there was a few that didn't make sense, and then it come up with, like, disgusting and leave and no thank you and things like that. So I did have to turn it off because I'm very much like, if I've turned it off, then it's not happening. Do you know? But it was coming up with some very bizarre words for me. And I was a bit like, oh, I don't like this. So then I turned it off. But I did feel like someone had, like I've mentioned it before to you. I don't know if I've mentioned it to the viewers. But whenever I get like this sort of like, the hair standing on end thing, I always get a weird feeling at the centre of my back. And it feels like almost like a little bubble of electricity. Almost. And that's when I feel that, like, there's a ghost either behind me or I can feel something's not quite right. It doesn't even have to be something paranormal. It can be like, it's like my danger sense, and I'll, so I can almost
Your
predict
spider
it.
senses were tingling.
That's it. That's it. So my spider senses were tingling a little bit. I did feel that someone had their hand on my back, which was a bit weird. But also, when I got further in, my torch was blinking, and I had to do that. Like you see in the films. Yeah, tapping it to try and get it to work. And at one point, it just totally stopped. So I was without a torch in the middle of this spooky graveyard.
But back to me at the front. So where the fog was so thick and dense, it was like sound had stopped.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really hear anything. I heard a commotion sort of beside me, and I turned around and looked, and there was a person come out of their house and emptied their bins and put that back, because that sort of broke me away from what I was doing, because I was sort of standing there asking questions, And then again, I did the whole felt safe again, so I walked through the line. I walked through the line again, and it said scream.
Yeah.
So I got a little bit concerned on that one. So I messaged you, didn't I, to check in.
Yeah.
And then I heard your old voice going, "I'm all right,
All right.
I'm all right."
All right.
I did that a few times, but I only did it. And the second time I did it, where I messaged you check in, because I'd been calling you, I was going, Jeff, and because I didn't get a reply. But what was scary is when you replied to me, you was actually very close to me.
Yeah.
You was actually coming round the corner of the church.
That's
And
right.
I wasn't that far away from the church, really.
No.
I mean, had I've been sort of like braver, was there a seating part at the front of the door?
There was, but it was all locked up.
It was all locked up.
Yeah.
Because if like, I would have gone and sat in there, sort of thing. 'Cause that's me. On a spiritual and a sort of like weirdly witchcraft thing, is that's the sort of safe haven space.
Yeah, of course.
Because things don't go in there. But I had the same word come up several times, and that was pencil. Pencil. So if anyone's familiar with Pluckley, particularly the church, does anyone else know of anything about pencil? Because I had that word constantly.
It's very bizarre.
Like pencil.
Yeah. And like I was saying, I did actually, after I turned the word list off and my phone and my everything started to work really well, it was quite good because I managed to take some really nice photos in the mist and everything. But not that many, because obviously it happened to me the first time. I forgot to mention that in the first episode, was that my battery just went boom, didn't it? Flat. And
yeah, it went flat. So it's either that app was absolutely annihilating you. Although
no,
the
it wasn't.
time, because that was a different app.
It was. No, it wasn't, because my phone was on 20% and it decided to turn itself off. And it doesn't do that. My phone's old, but it doesn't do that. And also, with this situation, it was on the verge of doing that as well, because I was taking photos, and obviously whatever I was taking photos of did not like it. It was draining the battery. So that's very interesting.
I mean, you did sort of say that there were some candles and things on in the church.
That's it, yeah.
I'm right up the side of the church. I can see all of the windows just about. I did not see that at all.
There was, yeah.
But you did walk round to the front of the church and the other side.
Yeah.
And you had to see the top windows. I couldn't see those at all. So
No.
you said about those.
That's it.
But the little legends of the church yard itself is that I think there are two or three. So one of them is the Red Lady, who is they believe it's Lady Deering, who is buried there, and she's in a crypt, I think. And she has in a coffin that's 3 layers, because her husband, Lord Deering, wanted to preserve her beauty, so she was encased in lead, as well as an ordinary coffin, and I don't know what the 3rd layer is, but her grave and that was absolutely adorned with loads of red roses, hence why she's called the Red Lady. And she's sometimes been spotted with a small white dog. And the other one is the White Lady, which they believe is her sister, who is also buried with, or said to be buried in a lead-lined coffin as well. But I don't know which one of it is. It wanders around, sort of like crying because she lost a child, and the child babies were buried. like that didn't come into the world kicking and screaming. They were buried in unmarked graves, so she's wandering around looking for a baby. So it's quite sad. They're all quite sad little stories.
They are quite sad, but there is another story in connection with the dog of that lady, isn't there? In the churchyard.
I believe it was in the 70s. A group of paranormal students asked the vicar, whoever was in charge of the
pastor
church,
or whatever was in charge of the church at the
if
time.
they could stay overnight, if they could be locked in.
Yeah.
So he locked them in of an evening. They stayed all night. They did not get on well with the investigation at all. And when they come and unlocked him in the morning, he asked, did they pick up anything? They said no. He said, but it was really difficult because your dog kept coming in and barking at us all night, and it was really off-putting. He said, I don't have a dog, and the church does not have a dog.
And how did it keep coming in and out? The door was locked.
Because there's rooms, isn't there? You get the vicar's rooms and the what they call chambers.
Oh yeah.
In all churches, so they said it was coming from that direction, so they just assumed this little dog was keeping them up all night. So, but I mean, we're only going to go through one area.
Yeah.
But we're going to go through that's minor stories for that area
Yeah.
as well.
I'm hoping.
A lot more.
By the way, don't forget to see we want more, because I'm hoping to get Viking to give us a whistle-stop tour around Pluckley, and we're going to walk around and we're going to talk about all these different things.
Because there's Pluckley is a small area, but it branches out. Their ghosts branch out.
Yeah.
They are just two of the ghosts.
That's it. And we're going to do some food reviews as we go.
Well, because we've decided, but when we do go back, we're going to sort of like go into another one of the, I think all three pubs that's active still open. Have a ghost.
That's right, yeah.
Have a ghost, yes. If the Black Horse has a poltergeist that likes to move things and hide things, and then they reappear later on, that sort of thing. I can't remember what the other one. I think the one was like the hut candle.
That's it, yeah. I think one.
We will talk about them and we will give them their names properly when we do them.
That's it.
Because we're not going to just go there once. We're going to go there several times.
Mm-hmm.
My only disclaimer to Pluckley is they have an awful lot of trouble from people going there to investigate during Halloween. Please lay off Halloween. That's it. It's quite a big thing that happened in Pluckley at Halloween in the 40s, which draws people there, particularly to the Screaming Woods. So I'm just like, if you are one of these people, can you go like at a different time, because you actually go in and trash areas, you cause a nuisance to the locals and things. It's just like, go there, leave no trace, and take nothing with you.
And obviously certain bits we'll be doing during the day, just because I don't want you being uncomfortable. So certain.
Well, that one was an uncomfortable one, and I know for absolute sureness, I am not going in that woods at night time.
No. So there is going to be certain bits that are going to.
line at that.
Of course, there is going to be certain bits that are going to be during the day, and certain bits that aren't. I'm pretty sure the churchyard from the first episode, you wouldn't mind filming it in the dark again, no?
No, that doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Like really
so we'll be able to do that.
There,
that's it. I also want to do one on the seafront, actually. I want to see what happens there on the beach. That's
I imagine it's quite busy.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Right. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And don't forget, you want to put more in the comments. I want to see you guys.
Yeah, I want to see you actually asking for us to actually film while we're out.
That's it. Because if I've got these apps...
I've got a very small clip of Badger walking around Tong.
That's it.
Church, St Giles Church.
So if you want to see that, let us know. But please do comment, engage in the comments and get us chatting.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to do more. Indeed. Yes. Righty-ho. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And thank you for watching the second part of Paranormal invesTEAgators. See you next time.
We'll have to have a theme song.
John, you're up. See you in a minute. Bye everyone. Bye.